evening, and welcome back to Sportshire. I'm your host, Griff McClellan, and today I'm pleased to welcome guest speaker Austin Carr. Today's episode is all about the NFL season. Let's start. I think a good starting point is to discuss the Cleveland Browns. Why not?
Well, I think that Baker has a lot to prove this season. And I think, if you look at Week 1, we all saw that loss, right?
Yeah, they got crushed by 30 points.
Yeah, but I think that really, I don't think we can judge it by the first game of the season. He's a talented player. He has OBJ, obviously. Great defense. What do you think?
They're certainly the most hyped team of the offseason. They had really high expectations. Surprisingly, I've never seen that with the Cleveland Browns before. But this could be the year they make a huge stride towards the playoffs. Yeah. Baker Mayfield is one of the best quarterbacks. He's fairly new to the league as well, but he can light up the scoreboard, and he has a bunch of playmakers, like you said, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, and on the defense they have Myles Garrett. They are a solid club. They're just inexperienced and they're young. So it might take some time for them to mesh with each other and to develop fully. But at the moment, I'm not surprised. I think I kind of expected them to have a slow start, but in the end, I think they will make the playoffs.
The thing is, in the offseason, I really heard a lot about, okay, Baker's going to go off the season. They're a championship team. I kind of don't believe that. I think that they're a playoff team, but I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. You know what I mean?
They'd have to face New England, Kansas City, all those other AFC prime teams.
Yeah. Baltimore.
So, Baltimore, too.
Yeah.
They're a great team, surprisingly, this year. So I think Cleveland has a lot of hype, as I said, but I just don't see them going all the way this year.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about another team in the AFC, the Indianapolis Colts. I was initially really high on this team. I thought they were going to go a long way this year until the recent news that Andrew Luck announced his retirement. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Andrew Luck is obviously, he's a fantastic player. And they really built that entire team around him. For years past, he's had that terrible offensive line and he's been hit so much, and that's ultimately why he had such a short career. But, ultimately, I think that this team can be good. Jacoby Brissett, I think he can be a good player in the long run. But I just think, he's a young guy. He can't lead this team to where Andrew Luck would have led them.
Yeah, they have a great coach, Frank Reich, who led this team from a terrible start last season to the playoffs into the divisional round. And they have a solid club all around, a bunch of playmakers. But now that Andrew Luck's retired, I just don't see them as strong of a team. They look much more beatable. Jacoby Brissett's a fine quarterback. There's no denying. But I just don't see him as elite as Andrew Luck.
Yeah, I don't even know if he will be elite in the long run, but I think he can be a decent quarterback.
I can see the Colts winning probably 7 or 8 games.
Yeah, probably, but I don't think they're a playoff team this year.
Yeah, and they also have a pretty strong division for the most part. They have to face the late Tennessee Titans surge. They started the season with a bang.
Yeah.
That wake-up call for the Cleveland Browns. They won 43-13. Maybe they're a team to put on notice. Maybe they could make a difference this season. The Houston Texans also have playmaker Deshaun Watson and a fantastic defense as well.
Yeah, and the point about Deshaun Watson, with Deshaun Watson and what I saw with Andrew Luck and how basically the previous regimes in Indianapolis had so much issues with the offensive line. You look at the Texans and you think, is Deshaun Watson going to get hit like every single play? Basically he's going to. They had that trade for Jeremy Tunzel for that left tackle there. The thing is, though, it's not the entire offensive line. Deshaun Watson is going to get hit a lot early on in his career, and he runs more than Andrew Luck ever did. So, do you think that he's going to get hit a lot?
Deshaun Watson?
He might have a short career because of that,
He easily could. I hope he doesn't. He's such an electric playmaker. Unfortunately for him, 2 seasons ago, he tore his ACL. His rookie season was cut short because of that.
Yeah.
But he's going to have a fine career. He may or may not win a championship. I think he is capable, but he's got to stay healthy.
Yeah. He had a great performance against the New Orleans Saints.
Oh, that was an epic finish.
That was fantastic,
oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a game for the ages.
Yeah.
All right, switching gears now. Let's discuss the hottest topic of the NFL right now with Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
What do you want to say about him? There's so much to talk about here.
There's a lot of things to talk about, and none of them are for good reasons. I mean, I'd like to say that I could talk about him because he's putting up like 2 touchdowns a game and like 100 receiving yards a game, but unfortunately he hasn't even played a game yet. Yeah, and I mean, really, there's obviously some serious like allegations with him. The league is going to investigate that, and they're going to figure out why or what happened with that situation. And it's just, I don't know, it's just a huge, it's sad to see for the NFL because, I mean, they've come a long way in terms of dealing with these type of things, and they need to deal with this situation. And, I mean, he is such a polarizing figure. I mean, he's had so many issues. I mean, the way he forced his way out of Oakland, that was kind of...
That's got to be the strangest tenure I've ever seen of any NFL player in the history of the league.
Yeah.
He doesn't play a single game. He was there for, what, like 6 months, 7 months? Didn't play a single game. He had that frostbite issue. He showed up to practice with that. He issued his helmet grievance.
Yeah.
Threatened to never play the sport again if they didn't fix his helmet. And then he got into that heated altercation with the general manager, Mike Mayock.
Yeah.
That was insane. And he punted the football away and yelled, "Find me for that." Oh, that sums it up right there. He was just a total disaster. It unraveled pretty quickly.
The thing is, he deserved to be fined for that. I mean, you can't harass the GM and expect to not be fined, you know what I mean? And, I mean, at this point, too, it's past that level of basically stupidity that he was presenting beforehand, and it's gotten to that point where now it's serious criminal allegations against him that need to be dealt with, you know?
Yeah. I was amazed that he got signed by the Patriots just hours after he was released from Oakland. Sure, I mean, that would make the Patriots unbeatable if he played. But he also, it may not necessarily work out for the best. He might not get along with Bill Belichick.
I mean, the thing is, though, Bill Belichick has had a past of kind of helping those wide receivers get back onto their feet and be actual productive players after kind of wild experiences with previous teams. But I mean, I don't know. Antonio Brown is different because of the fact of these allegations, and there's obviously some serious stuff. And I think that, I mean, in general, the Patriots don't need him. I mean, they have Josh Gordon back, they have Julian Edelman. I mean, they have electric wide receivers. At the beginning of the season, that was the main concern, but now there is no concern, so why do they need him?
Yeah, you're not wrong in a sense. The Patriots don't need him. They have a bunch of playmakers, and Tom Brady's still going strong at age 42. It's incredible.
Yeah.
They have James White, Sony Michel, Julian Edelman, the Super Bowl MVP, and Josh Gordon. And I have one question. How is Josh Gordon still in the NFL? That's crazy.
I mean, he's been reinstated like 3 or 4 times.
He's been suspended 5 times?
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then now he's, I don't know. I mean, I honestly feel bad for the guy. I mean, he obviously has some serious substance abuse issues, and I pity him because of the fact that, you know, it is hard to get through those things, and I think he deserves second chances, maybe even a third chance. At this point, he kind of is a very much of a repeat offender, though. So
yeah, he had an incredible talent that was given to him, and he abused it.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
Yeah,
but he's gotten his chance again. He's a great addition to the Patriots offense. So good for him, and I hope for his part that he recovers.
The thing is, though, if he has a fantastic rest of his career, we won't even be talking about this. You know, we'll be thinking that, okay, he was a great player.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right. This is a whole different change of scenery here, but I know you're a huge New York Giants fan.
Yeah.
Let's discuss the quarterback situation there between Eli Manning and Daniel Jones.
Okay, so first of all, this is Eli's last season. I mean, we have to.
I think so.
We have to admit that fact. And as much as, you know, Dave Gettleman doesn't want to admit it, as much as, I mean, Pat Shurmur, I think it's more of that he's forced into not admitting it. But I mean, we have to admit that it's Eli's last season. He's done fantastic things for the franchise.
He won 2 Super Bowls against Tom Brady and the Patriots. That's remarkable.
He was a great player. He's lost that mobility most of the time. So, I mean, I think he ran like once last game, but he's lost all of that mobility he used to have. I mean, he never had an extreme amount of mobility in the first place. It was more of just he could move around in the pocket very efficiently. Like, I mean, look at that play in the Super Bowl. I mean, watch that over and over again.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's time to move on. And originally with Daniel Jones, I didn't think that, I don't know, I didn't think it was the right pick, but I also didn't think that he was going to be a terrible quarterback. I wasn't like, there was really the haters in the NFL and the media thought that, okay, just because he was from Duke, that basically that he was going to be terrible. He was going to be trash. Nobody would ever want him on the team again or whatever. Just because he came from Duke, just because he didn't win a lot of games, doesn't mean that he was a bad quarterback. I mean, he was trained by Cutcliffe, obviously, so who trained the Manning brothers, and he was, I mean, he still had that talent, and I mean, one of the main question marks was, does he have that elite throwing talent? Can he throw the ball deep downfield? I mean, we've seen that so much now at this point that we know he can, and he's obviously has the mind for it, the IQ. I mean, I think he's the future.
I agree 100%. I think he could be the steal of the 2019 draft. I initially thought the Giants were going to pick Dwayne Haskins, 6th overall. In hindsight, I think the Giants may have made the right call. And in my opinion, Dwayne Haskins is overrated.
I mean,
just because he went to a big football school in Ohio State does not mean he should be in the top 6 picks or that he's one of the greatest in the draft.
Oh, okay. Ohio State wasn't that good last year as compared to this year with Justin Fields. And you look at that and you also say that, I mean, obviously we saw Dwayne Haskins in the preseason, and we saw that pick 6 where I just laugh constantly at, where he got stiff-armed in the face. But, and you know, and I was certainly disappointed too when he laughed at the Giants pick. I thought that was definitely rude. And you look at, I mean, I think he shouldn't have made that decision, because you can kind of look at that, and then you can look at him getting stiff-armed in the face, and you can also look at a Daniel Jones play where he throws a, 30-yard bomb to one of his receivers. You know what I mean?
That's a great example of karma right there.
Yeah.
If you're going to talk trash about an organization like that, it's going to come back to bite you.
Yeah.
And it certainly did for Haskins.
Yeah. And it's kind of a sad fact. I mean, he was a New York Giants fan when he was younger. But I mean, yeah, he kind of showed some disrespect. It came back to bite him there.
It did, for sure.
Yeah.
And who knows? I think he has the potential to have a decent career. I think that the Giants did end up making the right call to get Daniel Jones. And he's going to surprise a whole bunch of those salty New York Giants fans who were booing Daniel Jones at his draft.
And at Yankee Stadium, too.
When he threw up the first pitch?
Yeah.
Just New York lifestyle for you.
Yeah.
That's how they go.
I mean, he handles it perfectly. I mean, you see him. He gets up in front of the media. He handles it. He's like what they used to call Eli Manning, Easy E. I mean, he's basically the epitome of that, like, New York quarterback. He has that perfect personality for it, too.
Yeah, he seems very calm, cool, collected. I think he also reminds me, in terms of his style on the field, he reminds me of Eli Manning when he was younger.
Yeah. That, and at the same time, I feel like there's a possibility that he could be even better. You've seen him run before. He has elite athletic talent too. I don't know why nobody noticed this, but I mean, some people said that Dwayne Haskins could run better than Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, like, there's a video of Daniel Jones and he can dunk a basketball, like a reverse dunk of a basketball. I mean, he obviously has.
Not many basketball players can even do that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he obviously has some serious athletic talents. I mean, he can run the ball really well. The only issue is his fumbling, which, I mean, that can be cleaned up. I mean, Eli had fumbling issues early on too.
Yeah.
I mean, he still does a little bit, but.
And one player we haven't even mentioned on the Giants is Saquon Barkley, a huge key to their offense. Who, if you put Saquon and Daniel Jones together on the field, they could be electric.
Yeah, I honestly believe that as many question marks that we've kind of said about Dave Gettleman's style of management of the team, he has drafted extremely well. I mean, he drafted Daniel Jones, he drafted Saquon, he obviously he's put a lot of a young talent infusion into that defense. And now maybe it's not showing those early returns, especially week 1, but I think it will in the long run, especially those really young corners that he's bringing along.
Yeah, and these days in the NFL, it's all about building for the future, and the Giants have certainly prioritized that.
Yeah.
Dave Gettleman deserves a lot of credit for what he's done, drafting, as you said,
Yeah.
Saquon and Daniel Jones. They've put the pieces together for the future.
Yeah.
For a team that always has championship expectations in the Big Apple every single year, and for the past few seasons, they've been terrible.
Yeah.
They won Super Bowl 42, missed the playoffs in a couple years after that, then won Super Bowl 46 out of nowhere again. They're so inconsistent, but if they can find a reliable quarterback and running back duo, they could be great for years to come.
Yeah. The NFC East in general is going to be talented for years to come. I mean, I've seen the Dallas Cowboys, and they're already very talented. The Giants keep building. They're going to be good, too. The Eagles are already extremely talented, obviously. So, yes.
Yeah, and that's another good point you bring up about the Philadelphia Eagles and Dallas Cowboys. Those teams will battle it out for NFC East supremacy this season, and perhaps NFC in general. They had very different results from Week 1. They were both winners of their respective matchups. Dallas was just sharp all game long. They were fantastic. Philadelphia had a slow start. They were down 17-0 to the Redskins. I don't know how that happened somehow, but they climbed back out of it. Carson Wentz, looked really sharp. That team has the potential to be a threat in the NFC now that they've they've got Deshaun Jackson back in the receiving corps.
Yeah.
He's electric. He had 2-3 touchdowns last week.
Yeah, I think it was 3, yeah.
Crazy. Who do you think's going to win that division, Dallas or Philadelphia?
I honestly think Dallas this year. I think Dallas will win that division this year. I think that I saw that Week 1 game against the Giants, and that was amazing. I mean, the Giants' defense is young, it's inexperienced, but I mean, Dak Prescott, which the only weakness of that team was basically Dak Prescott, right? I mean, he was a good quarterback, but they didn't know if he could take that elite next step. I honestly believe that he might have this season.
They very well could. Their biggest weakness is just figuring out how to win in the postseason.
Yeah.
They can get there for sure, but Jason Garrett hasn't had great success in the postseason in his tenure with Dallas.
They say he's on the hot seat to be fired if he doesn't have some real results this season. I don't know if that's true, but obviously he has a very good team, and he hasn't been able to win like any postseason matches. So
I'm picking the Philadelphia Eagles to win this division. It was such a close call. I almost picked Dallas. I'm going with Philadelphia because of their experience. If Carson Wentz can stay healthy, this team could go far.
Yeah.
If he's injured, though, that's the difference. Now, if they no longer have Nick Foles, their Super Bowl MVP, their season could go downhill pretty fast if that were to happen. But if he stays healthy, watch out. Philadelphia is pretty strong. All right. On that note, let's look ahead to the playoffs.
Okay.
Let's start with the AFC. Who are your teams? Who do you think will be the top team by the end of the season?
I think the top team is the Patriots. I think
Fair enough.
I mean, there was only one weakness that we could actually find in the Patriots wide receivers. They have a surplus of like fantastic wide receivers now. They don't even need Antonio Brown, and if they have him, they're going to be even better. And it's going to be insane to see Tom Brady throw to Antonio Brown on one side, Josh Gordon on the other, Julian Edelman in there too. I mean, that's going to be insane.
And what's amazing is they don't even have Gronkowski anymore, and yet they still look so dangerous.
Yeah.
All right, who else do you have?
And then I have the Chiefs. I mean, obviously, Patrick Mahomes is going to go off this season. Everybody knows that. But then I have the Ravens in third.
Interesting.
The Ravens, I mean, it was against Miami. Obviously, Miami doesn't have as much talent this season. But, I mean, Lamar Jackson, I mean, he can... First off, we already know that he has that elite running ability. And also, we know that... I mean, we don't know this, but it appeared that he has that elite throwing ability. I saw him in Week 1, and I said to myself that this guy can throw too. If he can do both, then he could have that Michael Vick talent almost.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And who else do you have in the wild card spots per se?
For I also have the Texans in there too.
Oh yeah.
But in the wild card spot, I have the Browns and the Titans. Titans played very well. I honestly think that they can. I don't think they're going to go very far into the playoffs, but I think they can make the playoffs. And I think the Browns will. I think they'll make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to be at the tier of that top tier that the Ravens are at, but I think they'll be a very good team, and I think they'll make a little run into the playoffs.
They very well could. Lamar Jackson is fantastic. He had a phenomenal performance last week.
Yeah.
All right. My AFC picks are similar. I have the same teams, but in a different order. The 1 seed, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is unstoppable. He puts up video game numbers any given day of the week. Yeah, and also they have an improved defense. They've hired Steve Spagnuolo, who coached the Giants to 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I know you're a fan of his. And I think that's going to help them this season. It doesn't just have to be Mahomes carrying the load. I don't expect that he'll throw for over 5,000 passing yards again. I don't think he'll reach 50 passing touchdowns again, but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
The defense will help carry the team as well, and that could guide them all season.
Well, yeah, that means that the defense is actually spending some time on the field this season, you know?
That too, yeah. Their defense was dead last in most categories last season.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what cost them a trip to the Super Bowl last year, was that they couldn't stop Tom Brady and the Patriots in the AFC title game.
What about Tyreek Hill, though, that injury? I mean,
he's going to be out for how many weeks is it? He'll be out for a significant amount of time.
Yeah.
With a shoulder injury. But still, they have a bunch of playmakers like Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins had a huge game last week against Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And Jacksonville's defense isn't bad.
Well, the corners in Jacksonville, obviously they have one of the best corners in the NFL, Jalen Ramsey, so.
Yeah, following up in the AFC, I think the Patriots are the 2 seed. They're inevitable, let's just face it. As long as Bill Belichick and Tom Brady are on the sideline and on the field, they have a legit chance every single year, no matter how old Brady is. And they just keep getting better and better each year. They have a bunch of playmakers, like we said. I think they'll be the 2 seed. And following up, I have the Cleveland Browns taking the division.
I don't know about that one.
They had a slow start, but they faced a pretty solid team, and Baltimore had an easy week 1
Yeah, that's true.
victory. So I think it's only week 1. It's too early to call. I think Cleveland will get it together, and just on paper, they are incredibly talented.
Yeah, I agree. I just believe that the Ravens are better. I think that Baker Mayfield he'll get back on track. The main issue of that entire game was his play. I mean, there was huge problems with, I think didn't he throw a pick 6 at one point, or he threw a couple interceptions, and he had a fumble or a safety at one point too. It just wasn't his best game, but I do believe that the Ravens are more talented than the Browns.
Yeah, and to finish out the AFC, I have Tennessee as well, winning the division, followed by Baltimore. I have them in the playoffs, and the Houston Texans as well.
Okay.
And the NFC, this could be interesting. I know you're going to disagree with this. I have the Chicago Bears, New Orleans Saints, Los Angeles Rams, the Eagles, Cowboys, and then the Vikings. Those are my teams. How about you?
Okay, so I have the Saints first, and then this one's a little bit of a surprising one. I have the Cowboys second.
Okay.
And even though I don't like the Cowboys, I saw what they did to the Giants, and I think that they don't have any holes on that team. There's no holes that I can see.
They get an A plus for last week's performance.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
that was amazing. And to see Dak Prescott actually put up those elite numbers makes me think that nothing can stop this team, except for maybe the Saints. I think the Saints can stop them. I think other than that, they're going to be a fantastic team. And then I have the Rams winning their division and the Bears winning their division. But I don't think the Bears are that. I don't know if the Bears are really that top tier. If Mitchell Trubisky can get up to that level, then I think that this team can be fantastic. I think that this team only goes as far as Mitchell Trubisky does. And I also, obviously, I think the Rams, despite the fact that Todd Gurley is a little in it right now, I think that this team is obviously still a very talented team and they can win their division.
They could be hung over from last year's Super Bowl letdown, but they still have one of the best offenses and defenses. They're one of the best balanced teams overall in the league. So they could make another Super Bowl run for all we know.
And for the wild card, I have the Eagles and the Seahawks.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, let's jump ahead now. Here's the big question of the day. Who is your Super Bowl 54 prediction? Who you have going there?
I have the Patriots winning over the Saints. I think the Saints actually make it this time, but I think in the end, Drew Brees comes up short again, unfortunately.
The Saints have been such a good team the past 2 years. It's just that first they had to deal with the Minneapolis Miracle, and then last season's no call, arguably the worst no call in the history of the league.
Yeah.
So they've had 2 unlucky bounces, but you're not wrong that they could end up in Miami in February, playing in the Super Bowl.
I think they will, yeah.
All right, and who's going to win that game? Patriots?
Yeah, the Patriots will win that game.
They easily could.
Yeah.
Any year that, like I said, Brady and Belichick are there, they have a great shot.
And like I said before, usually they have some kind of hole in that team, and they still win Super Bowls. They don't have any holes with the receiver spot filled up now.
All right, I'm going to disagree with you. I have a different Super Bowl prediction. I like your pick. It's a solid pick. That easily could happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a little different. Mine is Chicago Bears versus Kansas City Chiefs.
I mean,
yeah, the Bears did have a slow start to the season. They lost 10-3 to Green Bay. They still have the league's best defense.
That's true.
Led by Khalil Mack and Roquan Smith. The offense needs to improve, but it's been proven on multiple occasions to have where a team has a great defense and an average quarterback. Just think of the 2000 Baltimore Ravens, 2013 Seattle Seahawks, 2015 Denver Broncos. So I think it is possible they still could be in the mix. Meanwhile, for Kansas City, I've already explained Patrick Mahomes is going to be explosive. Even though it may not be as explosive as last season, he can still get the job done. So I can see those 2 teams meeting up in February.
The only thing is that I think that if you look at, I mean, who has the better defense? Obviously, Chicago does. And Kansas City has the better offense. I think that offense is better than what that defense can prevent the offense from doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that if you really compare the best 2 aspects of that team, Kansas City still has that advantage in that matchup.
All right, and I got to pick a winner of this Super Bowl. I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears. I'm high on the Chiefs, but honestly, the Bears have a fantastic defense, and I like to believe the defense wins championships. It's been proven multiple times before. I think the game will have fireworks at certain moments. Patrick Mahomes will throw a couple touchdowns. The Bears defense will come up with huge stops. In the end, I think the Bears will take that game.
What do you think about NFC champion? A championship game, though.
In the NFC Championship, I think it'll be the Bears and Saints.
I have the Saints over the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys. I'm really banking on the Cowboys this year.
I'm surprised. He's a Giants fan.
I saw what they did, and I was like, wow, this is a dangerous team.
Oh, there's no denying they are. It's all about winning in the postseason, which they haven't proven yet.
Yeah, and obviously in the AFC, I have the Patriots over the Chiefs. I don't think any other teams are at their tier. They're just those 2 teams are just the top tier in the AFC.
Yeah, it easily could be New England again. They've made the 4 out of the past 5 Super Bowls. This could easily be their 5th out of 6 years. I think we can both agree it's going to be New England and Kansas City in the AFC title game. A rematch.
Yeah.
I think I'm banking on that too. It'll be an interesting season. I can't wait to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah.
All right, well, that'll wrap up for today.
Okay.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Great discussion.
Great.
Thank you for watching Sportshire. We'll see you next time.